राम लखन सीता सहित हृदय बसहु सुरभूप सियावर रामचंद्र की जय पवन सुत हनुमान की जय उमापति महादेव की जय सब संतन की जय 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 सीताराम। We give obeisance to Hanuman ji. Ram Dware Tum Rakavare. He guides any who come to the door of Sri Ram. Their words cannot leave their lips as a message to Sri Ram without going through Hanumanji first. In order to worship Sri Ram in concordance with the Vardhans that were given by Sita Ma, Ashta Siddhi Navadidike Data Asavardhin Janaki Mata, you have to give obeisance to Hanumanji. We have thus given our obeisance to Shri Ganesh Bhagwan, and we have given our obeisance to Hanumanji. Now we can focus on what we've come here for. Why do we say, Siyavar Ramchandra ki jai, Pavan Sutta Hanuman ki jai, Umapati Mahadev ki jai? What does Lord Shiva have to do with the Hanuman Chalisa? Why do we always give a Jaikar for Umapati Mahadev? It is because, well, before I tell you why, let me give you a short story. When Sri Hanumanji was before Ravan in the court of Lanka, at that time when he was in court, Ravan said, do you know my glories? You're chanting the glories of Sri Ram. Do you know my glories? And Hanumanji said, yes, I know your glories. You've stolen the wife of Sri Ram. You've stolen Lakshmi Ma as if she is something to have. Remember when Lakshmi Mata arose out of the churning of the ocean, she picked her husband. She picked Sri Vishnu. So how is it that you get to pick her for yourself when she's already married? And then Ravan responded and said, you don't know my true glories. I took my hand and I lifted Mount Kailash. And Hanumanji responded and said, yeah, didn't Mahadev put his big toe down and crush your arm? He said, yes, but afterwards, Mahadev gave me the Vardhan that I can conquer anyone, which is true. Hanumanji responded and said, if I were Lord Shiva, I would tell you, child, return Sita Mata to Sri Ram and fall at his feet and ask him for forgiveness, and they will forgive you. And then Ravan responded and said, this monkey thinks that he can equate himself to Lord Shiva. But Hanumanji was none other than Lord Shiva. He was the Ansh Avatar. His mother and his father, Kesari and Anjani, did proper rites and did tapasya to Lord Shiva to have a son. And Lord Shiva said, I will come to you. And there are many other requirements. Karma is like a web of truths. And in all of these stories, they all connect. And they're all intertwined like a great silken tapestry. Every single story that Pandit Chet or Pandinar or I tell, it's all part of this tapestry. It's all connected. And you want to know something else? All of us are also connected to this tapestry. We're in Kali Yuga. If anybody watches Mahabharata, my Hindi has now gotten better because I married somebody who speaks to me in Hindi. But I never really knew in the song, Mahabharat, Swagat, they're saying Swagat. What is the verse? Swagat Yug, Kali Yug. In the verse it's saying we are welcoming this new Yug from Dwapar Yug. There are 4 yugas. Satya Yug, which is the age of truth, which was the time when Brahma first created this universe. That was Satya Yug, when all of the rishis came from him and all of the Prajapatis, the first men, came. That was Satya Yug. After Satya Yug was Treta Yug. And in Treta Yug, that's when Sri Ram lived, where things were not as good, but not as bad as they are today. And then after Treta was Dwapar Yug. And Dwapar Yug is when Sri Krishna came to us. And then after Sri Krishna ascended and left this world, that was the day that began Kali Yug. And that is the day, that is the age that we're living in today. It has been 5,249 years to this day that Sri Krishna placed his lotus feet on this earth. And we still haven't forgotten. 5,000 years ago, Sri Krishna came to us. And after his departure, in the time of his life, there was a very valiant philosopher and author and poet and everything else. This man was very well-rounded. He was a character in the Mahabharata, and he wrote the Mahabharata. He was none other than Vedvyas. Vedvyas gave to us many things. And at the time that Sri Krishna left this world, Narad Muni is the messenger of Lord Vishnu. If you watch the serials, he's always Narayan. Always has the news to give. He is the mind-born son of Brahmadev. He's one of the first beings to come out of Brahma. Narad Muni has a life before his life today, but I will keep on the trajectory that I'm on. All of these trajectories are all intertwined, like I keep saying, in a tapestry. I can go off one branch or the other, but I'll stick to my course with Sri Krishna. Vedvyas, at the time that Sri Krishna left this world, Vedvyas was approached by Narad Muni. And Narad Muni asked him, Vedvyas, what have you done in this lifetime? What have you done that you would say you have attained merit? What makes your life that you've lived worthwhile? What have you given to your fellow man? And Vedvyas said, all of the rishis gave us verses of the Veda, and I took all of those hymns and I put them together in one collective unit known as the Veda, which is true, he did this. And then because the wit of man is now dull in Kali Yuga, I've separated it into 4 so that the Brahmins can pick one and stick to it. So each family of the Brahmins pick one Ved because all 4 is too hard for them. While they are all reciting the Ved that was given to them by Vedvyas, Narad Muni asked, that's all you did? Remember, Ved is all of the knowledge of this universe that we have. All of it. And Vedvyas, that's why his name is Vedvyas, placed all of them on paper and separated it and organized it for us. And Narad Muni said, that's all you did? Can you imagine Vedvyas spending his entire lifetime doing this? He said, well, I also wrote Mahabharata. I also wrote down the Mahabharata. And Narad Muni said, was it you that wrote it, or was it Ganesh Bhagwan? And Vedvyas said, well, I had Ganesh Bhagwan write it down, but I said it, and he wrote it. And if you know the story, Ganesh Bhagwan says he took his tusk, dipped it in ink to write the entire Mahabharata. And he said to Vedvyas, if I don't understand something, I'm not writing it down. so you have to explain it to me properly. Vedvyas did all of this, and still Narad Muni, the mind-born son of Brahma, said, "This is all you've done?" Well, let me ask you one more question, Vedvyas. In your entire life, and he lived a very long life, in order to compile the Vedas, he had to live a very long life. In the time that you've lived, what is the one thing that you think should be the number one priority of man? And Vedvyas responded, and he said, "Of course, that's a very easy question, Narad. The number one priority of man should be to reminisce in the pastimes of his Leela, to speak his Ramayana." And then he said, "By the way, I also wrote my own take of the Ramayana called the Adhyatma Ramayana." Vedvyas gave us all. There's many more things that he gave that I don't even know, because he gave us so much. On top of that, he gave us, this is one book, this is part 2 of 1. He gave us the Srimad Bhagavat Mahapuran. The Srimad Bhagavat Mahapuran is 16,000 verses. It is known as the longest poem in Indian scriptures, in Hindu scripture, Shastra. It is the longest poem in Indo-European language. It is the longest poem historically known to man. When people think of India, they think of smog, they think of pollution, they think of various things, but they don't think of it as, or we do, the country that has given the longest poem. From the philosophers who have given us Ramcharitmanas, Tulsidas spent his entire life to compile the Ramcharitmanas and made sure that every single verse rhymed. Why did he do that? Did he do it for fun? No. He did it because he saw the minds of his common man faltering and forgetting Sri Ram. In Kali Yuga, that is normal. That is what happens. But he has given us a doorway to another platform so that we can attain Sri Ram in our minds. Vedvyas now gave us the Srimad Bhagavat Mahapuran. The Srimad Bhagavat Mahapuran tells us various stories of the life or lives of Sri Vishnu. He had many avatars, many lifetimes that he came to earth and blessed us. Many times he saved the entire world from ruin. Many times he saved us right now. Shri Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, "Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyutanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya jiduskritam dharma sansthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge." He will come back to this world in every yuga, and so far he has been right. Bhairavi, my wife, asked me a very good question. We were watching B.R. Chopra Mahabharat last night and watched the advent of Sri Krishna. And she said, "You know how the rishis said that Sri Krishna will be born and that Kalki avatar will be born?" She said, "Did they know that all of these avatars would be born before they came?" And I said, "Do we know that Kalki avatar is going to be born before he's born?" Yeah, we do. There are many times that these prophecies come out. Sri Ram was going to be born. Sri Krishna, Balram, and Kalki avatar will be born in our age. Apparently, according to Indologists and Jyotishas, they say that we will have to wait a few 100,000 years before Sri Vishnu comes back and bestows us. But what stops us from letting him be born here today in the Vishwabhavan Mandir? He can be born here today. Sri Krishna has given us a mind that does wonders. We can use it to our demise. but we can also use it for the attainment of Bhagwan. We can use the mind and think about all the negative things in the world, all the negative things in other people, even within our own society. Or we can choose to use the mind to give birth to Sri Krishna within our hearts. And that is the goal of Srimad Bhagavad Mahapuran. I was reading the Srimad Bhagavad Mahapuran. I started reading it a month ago, and I'm only in part 1, but I'm cheating today, and I skipped over to part 2 for your enjoyment and for your Atma and Punya. But as I was reading the advent of Sri Krishna, I read a verse. Vavai vayuhu mukasya parshah punya gandhavaha shuchihi agnayascha dvijatinam shandas tatra samindataha. At the time that Sri Krishna was being born, what was happening? What was going on with the weather? A hollowed breeze coming as it did from the direction of the holy Yamuna, and wafting a sweet fragrance, blew delightful to the touch. The sacred fires of the Pandits that had been extinguished due to Kans burst into flames automatically on the occasion. Imagine we live in a world today where people want to extinguish our religion. They want to extinguish our ways and our practices. They want to throw water on our havan, so to speak. But at the advent of Sri Krishna, all of those flames immediately come up. Similarly, in our own minds and in our own hearts, Sri Krishna can come back. Sri Krishna doesn't have to be born physically for us to have him here. We have a beautiful shringar that has been prepared by the members of the Vishwabhavan Mandir for us to partake in with our eyes. When Sri Krishna entered into the city of Mathura to slay Kans, at that time the locals said his brother, Sri Krishna and Balaram, look to be like Ram and Lakshman, who are coming to, like as if they're coming to Lanka. And the devotees said, the eyes that have no mouth to speak, see. And the tongue that has no eyes to see can speak, but neither can do justice to Sri Krishna. That is the beauty. This is the beauty of this 16,000 verse poem. There's so much beauty in it. If you have it or you can get it, it's $70 for both copies on Amazon. If you wanted to read it, you can read 1 chapter a day. That's what I do. It only takes 10 minutes to read a chapter. And the things that you will learn will blow your mind. As I read this, I remembered the Yamuna, the sweet fragrance that came off of the Yamuna. And I remember Dad and I went to Vrindavan a few years ago for the celebration of Sri Krishna Janmashtami. And I recalled that it's a beautiful story. One of the days we left our hotel room with the goal in mind that we wanted to go to Govardhan Giri, the mountain Govardhan. To those who don't know what the Govardhan mountain is, once upon a time Sri Krishna told his parents, why do we waste time worshipping Indra? Indra is supposed to do his job. He's supposed to give the rains. He's supposed to give lightning, to bring nitrogen into the grounds, to give the trees life, and to give prosperity to those who partake in it. He's supposed to do that. Why do we worship Indra? Worship that which is willingly given you. Shri Krishna said, who is, and Nanda Baba said to Shri Krishna, Kanha, who do we worship? Who should we worship? Who do you think is worthy of our worship? Shri Krishna said, The cow. The cow gives us willingly her milk. She gives us her calves. She gives us progeny so that we can continue to have milk and dahi. And she gives us the very ghee that we pour into the Havan Yajna to worship Indra. We should give her worship. Where do the cows go? They go to the Govardhan. And he said, when the Yamuna swells up, the Yamuna can destroy our entire village of Gokul. But the Govardhan Giri stays in its place and blocks the Yamuna. We should worship Govardhan. So all of the locals, listening to this young philosopher who was no more than 10 years old, said, okay, let's go worship Govardhan. Back then they listened to the youth more. They went and they worshipped Govardhan. And who got upset? Indradev. How dare you all not worship me, he said. And now he starts to hail on them. And it flooded. There was floods going on. There was hail coming down, lightning striking, destroying all of their homes. And all of the villagers of Gokul said, Kana, you've doomed us. You stopped us from worshiping Indra. Look, he's getting angry with us. We need to worship him. Pandits start lighting the Havan to try to appease Indra. And Shri Krishna said, any god that gets angry with their devotees is not to be worshipped. Anyone who says that they are God and tries to trot in on the devotees is not to be worshipped. Where do we see this God? We see this God in our minds. We're fearful of this God. We think we're hellbound if we don't do certain things, or if we do certain things. Sadhakas, Sri Krishna is eternal, and he is eternally merciful. He placed his hand underneath the Govardhan, and with his pinky finger, he held it up over the villagers of Gokul. And you'll see in various images these villagers holding their canes, these old people holding their canes to hold Govardhan up as if he couldn't hold it up with his pinky. Some say it was doubt. I don't think it was doubt. I think it was puja. I think it was archana. Sri Krishna has given us, look right here, he's given us light, he has given us fruit, he has given us flowers. And we take some of that and we offer it back. Why? We have nothing. There is nothing that we have to offer. So instead, we offer him what he has given us. He lifted up Govardhan, and those said, we'll try to help you to hold Govardhan up. So knowing the story now, in context, Dad and I left our hotel room, and we had a driver, and we said, we're going to go to Govardhan today. It was a day before Janmashtami. We're going to go to Govardhan, and we're going to worship Govardhan. Along the way, there's no GPS in Gokul. There's no GPS in Vrindavan. And our Hindi was very, very minimal at the time. So we asked some locals, Govardhan Giri kahan hai? Where is the Govardhan mountain? And some people were like, we don't know. You're in the wrong side of town. It's that way. And then we go that way, they say it's that way. It's that way. It's that way. And on this journey, Dad and I are getting frustrated now. We don't know where to go. And then this boy appears. This little boy appears. Dark complexion. His hair is bleached by the sun. And he said, you're looking to go to Govardhan? And we said, yeah. He jumped in the car and said, I'll take you. And we said, okay. So now we're driving along the rasta, on the marg, on the street, on the road. We're going various different ways. And then we see all of these trees on the sides of the car as we're driving, just like in Georgia. And then immediately, no more trees. Why? We're on a bridge now, going over the Yamuna. So obviously we had to stop. And we looked at the Yamuna. And this is why it reminded me, this fragrant the beautiful weather and the Yamuna, how beautiful it is. If you have a chance in your life, try to go and see Yamuna. People will say, oh, I don't have to go anywhere. God is in my heart. God is in my mind. God is here, there, and everywhere. That is very true. But for some reason, when your eyes meet and all of your senses meet the very land that Sri Krishna's feet trod upon, it gives you this inspiration. So now we offered our puja to Yamunaji, and then we get back in the car and we're driving, and we stop because the little tour guide, who is probably no more than 10 or 11 years old, maybe 14 max, he said, I'm going to make a quick stop. He told our driver, and our driver tried to translate to us. He said he's going to make a quick stop. He'll be back in 5 minutes. What is he stopping for? So we were suspicious. 5 minutes go by. 10 minutes go by. 20 minutes go by. He's nowhere to be found. Now we're stranded. And we don't know where we are. But my dad said, look, there appears to be like a market. Let's see what they have. Let's go look. Of course, Dad wants to see what they have. He wants to bring back something, of course, for Nargis and Mom and anyone else. So now we told the driver to stop, and we're walking around this place. And then we see a doorway like this one you see right here. And on top of it, it says, Gokul Dham. Nanda Baba or Yashoda Maya ki ghar. It's their house. It's the house that Nanda Baba lived in. So of course Dad and I were like, forget Govardhan, look where we're at. We're at the very address where Sri Krishna lived his entire childhood. So we go inside. And who do we see? We met somebody there. Who do we see? Sitting in the middle sanctum of Nanda Baba's house. The same place where Sri Krishna walked as a child. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. A lingam was there. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. Nagendraharaya Trilochanaya Bhasmangaraya Maheshwaraya Nityaya Shataya Digambaraya Tasmai Nagaraya Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. Mandaki Salita Chandra Charjitaya, Mandaki Salita Chandra Charjitaya, Nandishwara Brahma Maheshwaraya, Tasmai Namakaraya Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya, 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 Om Namah Shivaya. Shivaya Gauri Vadana Pravritta Suryaya Daksha Dharanashakaya Srinilakantaya Vrishadvajaya Tasmai Shikaraya Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya, 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 Om Namah Shivaya. Vashishtha Kumbho Bhagavatamaya Munindra Deva Shita Shekaraya Chandraghavesha Narlochanaya Tasmai Vakaraya Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. नित्याय देवाय दिगंबराय तस्मै ताराय नमः शिवाय ओम 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 नमः शिवाय पंचाक्षरं निदं पुण्यं यः पठेत् चिरसन्निधो शिवलोकमाप्नोति शिवेन सह मोदते ओम नमः शिवाय 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 प्रेम बोलो महादेव की जय नमः पार्वती पतये हर हर महादेव हर Shiv Shankar's lingam was seated in the middle of Nanda Baba and Yashoda Maya's house. As you can see, all of the gods are always intertwined, like I said before in this tapestry. Shri Krishna worships Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva worships Lord Krishna. He worships Sri Ram in the form of Hanumanji. He is known as Rameshwar, the god of Sri Ram. That's what Sri Ram named him, Rameshwar. He is the Lord of Sri Ram. Sri Ram built the lingam on the southern tip of India before going and crossing over to Lanka. Because he worshipped Lord Shiva, that lingam got the name Rameshwar. It's a Jyotirlingam, one of the 12 lingams that are very important and auspicious to visit. Sri Ram worshipped him. Lord Shiva would take that name Rameshwar to mean he is the Lord. Ram is Ishwar. Because both worship each other. They worship each other all the time. In all 10 avatars of Sri Vishnu, who came to see his beautiful appearance? When Sri Ram was born, the song goes, आज अयोध्या की गलियों में घूमे जोगी मतवाला अलख निरंजन करा पुकारे जोगी. Who is the yogi? Who is this yogi that we're singing about? Aj Ayodhya. Today in Ayodhya, there's a crazy yogi dancing around in the streets of Ayodhya. Who is this person? This yogi now appears at the dwar, at the gate of the palace, and calls out to Kaushilya Devi and says, Mata Kaushilya kare pukare. He wants to see this beautiful child that she has given birth to, who is none other than Lord Vishnu himself. And Kaushilya says, who is this yogi? Who is this yogi who's dancing at the dwar of the palace? Jata Jut mein Ganga Viraje. They have the Ganga coming out of their head. Who else would it be? It's Lord Shiva. Same thing happened here when Sri Krishna was born. The Bhagavatam tells us that Lord Shiva pays a visit. He comes down disguised, because if he comes in his true form, first of all of you would probably go and crowd him. First of all. Second of all, he doesn't want to draw that attention. Second of all, he doesn't want the Lord to know who he is. Look at when Hanumanji came to Sri Ram. He disguised himself as a Pandit, as a scholar of Ved. Remember? In the Ramcharitmanas. So similarly now, he just comes as a simple yogi when Sri Krishna was born. And Yashoda Maya was there to give him fruit and to give him jewels and to give him all kinds of things, because they have a child and they want to thank the Lord by giving all these sannyasis clothing and jewels and everything else. Lord Shiva responds and says, I didn't come here for jewels. I came here to see your baby. And now Yashoda Maya is scared because first of all, he has snakes all over him. Second of all of these various demons tried to kill Sri Krishna to no avail. Putana came to feed him poison from her chest, and he sucked the life out of her. All of these other demons, these asuras, came to try to put him down and to kill him. And as a child, he killed them. So Lord Shiva responded fittingly and said, anyone who tried to kill this child, what happened with them? And Yashoda Maya said, they died. So why are you scared of little old me? And Yashoda Maya said, I don't know, I don't think so. Maybe I'll think about it, maybe you can come back another day. And she takes Nandalal and puts him back in his crib. And what does Sri Krishna do? He starts to cry unbearingly, bawling his eyes out, because even he wants to see his Lord in this form of a human. And the sun has risen and the sun goes down and Nandalal is still crying. So a villager, who is actually Maya Devi, goes to Yashoda, and she's frantic and she's trying to shake him, she's trying to feed him, she's trying to do everything with him to no avail. And Maya Devi tells her, Yashoda, take a nap, I'll hold him for you. Okay. And she immediately fell asleep. And she took the baby outside where Lord Shiva was crying as well. And that caused Sri Krishna to cry. I forgot to mention that part. So now Nandalal is in front of his Lord Sri Shiv Shankar Bhagwan. And Maya Devi takes the ashes from Lord Shiva's feet and makes a tripundra on Lord baby Krishna. And then he calmed down. This is the Maya. Maya means the things that we cannot understand and comprehend. At the very beginning of Bhagavatam, Brahmaji tells us, the Bhagavatam is actually 5 verses, but I'm not going to chant it to you because I think you should try your best to go in there and read it. At the very beginning, Brahma says to Narad, this is the Bhagavatam, 5 verses. Take it, Narad, and give it to Vedvyas and let him expound it, which he did. So, Brahmaji says in those verses, the Bhagavatam is something to help us wrap our mind around Maya, but we are never going to understand his Maya, his wonder, his miracles, the things that we don't understand is Maya. So this Maya that Brahma is talking about, Brahma said, even I don't understand it. And if I'm honest with you, Narad, I don't think Sri Vishnu even understands it. I don't think Sri Krishna himself understands his own nature, his own Maya, because it's so misunderstood. Why is it that Sri Krishna came to us 10 times? Why is it that we reminisce in all of these different leelas? Nobody knows. Nobody will ever know. If Brahma doesn't know, and Narada doesn't know, and Sri Vishnu doesn't know, who are we mortal men to ever know? We'll never know. But we can take some messages from the Bhagavatam. And in this Bhagavatam, I did write a few verses to share with you. And Pandit Chad, if you don't mind, you can play harmonium for me. Because it's hard to read these Sanskrit shloks and play harmonium at the same time. In this Maya that I'm discussing, Lord Shiva is always there when Sri Vishnu takes form on earth. Always there. They love each other. And their wives love each other. Lakshmi and Parvati. You may not know this, but in Parvati's wedding with Lord Shiva, you know, when we have weddings, who's going to play brother, who's going to play mamu, who's going to play this or that? Vishwabhavan was Parvati Mata's brother. And Lord Shiva was Lakshmi's brother in her wedding. So they are related. They have this Maya that we don't understand. We can't comprehend. Some people worship Lord Shiva alone. Some people worship Lord Vishnu alone. But sadhakas, they worship each other. Om Prasannavadanam Bhojam Padmagarbharunekshanam Nilotpaladala Shyamam Shankachakra Gadadaram. Where does Lord Shiva meditate? When you see his eyes are half open and half closed, who is he meditating on? He is meditating on Lord Vishnu. He is meditating on the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu. Who is Lord Vishnu dreaming about when he's asleep on Sheshnag? He's dreaming about Lord Shiva. In this way, Susuptir, in their sleep, in their sleeping state, in their meditative state, they are one with each other. And Ved Vyas gives us these beautiful verses that tell us, show us into the mind of Lord Shiva on what he's seeing. Kapil Dev, who is a rishi, had this conversation with his mother, Devahuti, who asked him, what is the priority of this life? Again, Kapil Dev said, to reminisce in the past times, to focus our minds on Lord Vishnu. And he says, Prasannavadanam Bhojam Padmagarbharunekshanam Nilotpaladala Shyamam Shankachakra Gadadaram. Contemplate on the lotus-like eyes and blue lotus-like complexion of Sri Vishnu, who wields the Shank and Chakra in his hands. Focus on Sri Vishnu is everything I've read so far, and I'm only 20% done. Everything I've read so far constantly takes your mind, sometimes repeatedly, on imagination. In your mind, imagine Sri Vishnu before you. Imagine he's holding the conch and a lotus flower. Imagine all these things. Anybody here know a verse from Mahabharata other than Yada Yada Hi Dharmasya? We said it earlier today, and you say it every single Sunday if you come every Sunday. Shantakaram bhujagasayanam padmanabham suresham. What does this mean? Shantakaram, the embodiment of peace. The akshar, the symbol of peace. Shantakaram bhujagasayanam, who sleeps on a serpent. Padmanabham suresham, the lotus of creation of this entire world emanates from his navel, where Brahma comes to create the entire universe. Padmanabham suresham, suresham, the God of all gods. Vishwadharam gagana sadrisham, Vishwadharam, Vishwabhavan, Vishwa, the universe. This is the embodiment of the universe, Vishwabhavan. We're all galaxies in this Vishwabhavan. Vishwadhara, he wields the entire universe in his hand. Vishwadharam gagana sadrisham, who sees beyond the skies that we see. Vishwadharam Gagana Sadrisham Meghavarnam Shubhangam. Meghavarnam, his skin is like that of thunderclouds, of storm clouds. Shubhangam, he is the embodiment of everything that is good. Shubhangam. Lakshmi Kantam Kamalanayanam. Lakshmi Kantam, he is graced with Lakshmi as his wife. Kamalanayanam, his eyes look like lotus flowers that are blooming. Yogi Birdhyanagamyam. Yogi Birdhyanagamyam, he gives the yogis, all of us who wish to come to him, he gives us a way, he gives us focus to come to him. Yogi Birdhyanagamyam. Vande Vishnu, praises to Lord Vishnu. Bhavabhayaharam. Bhavabhayaharam. Haram, he is the destroyer of Bhavabhaya. Bhavabhaya is the natural humanistic fears that come from our mind. He destroys that for us. Bhavabhayaharam. Sarvalokaika Natham. The entire universe, Sarvalokaika Natham. He is the Lord. He is the Lord of all worlds. When we say this mantra, rarely do we think about what it means. We think, okay, now the service is coming to an end. Okay, we're going to do arti and then, we'll take our blessings and we go. No. It's the last shred of hope that we have that our mind will be completely immersed in the form of Sri Vishnu. That's why we do it. So now that you know about a verse that you all knew, but you didn't know what it meant or you didn't know where it came from. Pitamaha Bhishma Pitamaha, a character in the Mahabharata, on his deathbed, he gave us the Vishnu Sahasranam. That was written by Ved Vyas in Mahabharata, and that was the beginning of it. So if you ever listen to Vishnu Sahasranam, you'll hear that. So here, we're focusing and we're contemplating on the lotus-like eyes, the blue lotus-like complexion of Sri Vishnu, who wields the Shankh and Chakra in his hands. And please, envision Sri Vishnu while I'm reading these. I'll read the English and then the Sanskrit so that you can sometimes feel the vibrations of what it truly means. The next verse says, he wears a dhoti made of silk, shining yellow, like the inside filaments of a lotus flower. Effulgent light residing on his chest. Close your eyes and envision this. He's wearing a dhoti that is yellow. His chest has the kaustubh jewel and this light that is the presence of Lakshmi, suspended from his necklace. Lasat pankaja kinjalak pita koshaya vasasam Shrivatsa vakshasam rajat kaustuva mukta kandaram. He is surrounded by honeybees who cannot differentiate the nectar flowing from the mala of flowers on his neck and the nectar-like skin that he has. All his limbs adorned with jewels. Mantadvire pakalaya paritam vanamalaya paradyaharvalaya kiritan dhanupuram. With a gladdened and charming appearance, Sri Vishnu stands on the lotus of his devotees' hearts. Envision him there. Kanchi gunula sachronim hridayam bhoja vishtaram darshaniyatamam shanti manonayana varadhanam. While the entire universe is impatient to greet Sri Narayan with a captivating appearance, he is impatient to greet his servants and bestow them with his grace. Api chaya darshanam shashvat Sarvaloka namaskritam Santam vayasi kaishore Brityanugraha kataram Kirtanaya tirtayashasam Punyashikaya shakaram Dhyaye devam samagrangam Yavana chavate manaha. Singing his glories sanctifies us all. In this way, one should meditate on the integral form of the Lord until the mind no longer shakes. What this means is, until you can close your eyes and see Sri Vishnu as he appears in these images, you should continuously try to do what Kapil Muni is telling us. As a result of meditating on him, Lord Vishnu confers all glories to his devotees. Stitam vrajantamasinam shayanam vaguhashayam prikshaniyo hitam dhyaye chudabhavena chetasa. With a mind full of sincere devotion, one should visualize Narayan standing, moving, sitting, lying, or dwelling in one's heart. Do this. Do this now. Think about Lord Vishnu residing in your heart. Tasminal labdha padam chittam sarvavayavasam stitam vilakshay katra samyugnya dange bhagavato muni. After seeing within one's mind the full form of Sri Vishnu, the sadhaka, or one who wishes to be closer to Bhagwan Narayan, should focus their mind on the individual limbs of the Lord as follows. First, the sadhak should focus on Narayan's lotus feet, adorned with marks resembling thunderbolt and lotus on the lines on his feet. His ruby-like nails resembling the orb of the moon dispels sadness from one's heart. If this is not poetry, I don't know what is. The feet of Narayan. Brian is at the feet of Sri Krishna right now. And many times in the past, I'm sure during difficult times and happy times, he is remembering the Lord. And today he has completed his education and he is with us today as a doctor. And we have many other people in this room. My other brother Gavin, who is embarking on a similar feat in med school. In all of the feats that we have in our lives, we come upon times that are very hard. But in those times, it says right here in the Bhagavatam, sometimes we're dealing with immense grief, immense depression from losing things or gaining things we don't want, or losing people or gaining people that we don't want in our lives. All of this comes to us, and Ved Vyas tells us, if you focus on the lotus feet of Sri Vishnu, he removes all grief. He removes all sadness from our hearts. Yajo janihi sritasarit pravaradakena tirtena murdhyaya dirkritena shiva shivo adbhut dhyaturmana shamala hasam hare ravanata kiralokati viryasho ashu sagara vishoshan matyudharam samohanaya rachitam nijamayasya brumundalam munikrite makaradvajasya om namo bhagavate vasudevaya. Meditate on the smile of Sri Vishnu. the smile which dries away the ocean of tears caused by grief of all those who bow to him. There are times, Ramcharitmanas, Tulsidas tells us, that life is likened to the cycles of day and night. Likewise, some days will be happy and sometimes will be sad. But here, he gives us a way out. He gives us a way to dry away the ocean of tears caused by grief, and it is by focusing on his image, focusing on his smile. One who bows to him, all grief leaves their heart. Dhyanayanam prahasitam bahuladaroshta basarunayita tanudija kundapanti dhyayet swadeha kuraya vasitasya vishnur bhaktya rudrayarvitamana na pritagdidrikshet. Full of devotion and steeped in love, one should finally fix their mind on what? What do you think the last thing is that you should focus your mind on of Lord Vishnu? The first is the feet. The middle is the smile, which is embodiment of mercy. Lastly, Kapil Rishi tells us, fix your mind on the laughter of Sri Vishnu, which should reverberate within the cavity of one's heart. A laughter which is so captivating that one can easily see the Lord's small teeth resembling jasmine buds, rendered by his rosy crimson lips. One who focuses on the Lord in this way would not desire to see anything else. What imagery! His crimson lips, his jasmine bud-like teeth, his laugh. His laugh is the thing that destroys all negative illusion. When we're in a bind, sometimes I'm in a bind. If I'm in a bind for any reason, I focus on Lord Vishnu. I focus wholeheartedly as much as I possibly can. And when you focus your mind on his feet, and you focus your mind in these mantras and shlokas, at that time all grief leaves you. All of the voices in your head that tell you you can't do something go away. All of the voices in your head that tell you, Gavin, you can't go to med school. Yes, you can. And you can do it and you can be successful. With the graces of Lord Vishnu, anything is possible. Anyone can do anything. Bhakta Prahalad told us, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, which was given to him by Narad Muni. And all of the times that Prahalad was put in a bad bind, his father tried to kill him, tried to throw him off of a cliff, sent serpents on him when he was meditating on the divine feet of Sri Vishnu to poison him. His aunt held him in her lap and tried to set him on fire. In all of these times, when elephants tried to trot over him and kill him, in all of those times, Sri Vishnu was there. Why? Why was Lord Vishnu there for him? Why isn't Lord Vishnu there for everyone? Lord Vishnu is there. You just have to focus your mind on him. Focusing your mind on his feet brings all of this. Evam haro bhagavati pratilabdha bhavo bhaktya dravadridhaya utpulkaha pramodado kantya bashpakalaya muhuradhyaman stachapi. A devotee who follows this course of meditation, who develops love and devotion for Sri Hari, their heart will melt through devotion as the hairs on their body stand erect and tears flow with intense love. At that time, the mind and heart, having been used to attract Sri Hari, no longer matter as the Atma reaches its goal of being within the presence of Sri Hari. If we can focus our mind once a day on Sri Hari and remove all negative emotions, if every single human being on this world were open to this idea and were able to do it, we'd be living in Satyayug. If every single person once a day at least focus on Sri Vishnu's appearance, so much good can come out of it. Where our minds are always engrossed in TikTok and Facebook and all kinds of things, that it's always stimulated. If we sit down once in the morning and just close our eyes and think about what Sri Vishnu looks like, it will remove all negative emotion, all negative karma, and it will give us a beautiful time. I'm going to sing the Madhurashtakam, and in that time I'm going to ask that anyone who brought fruits or prasadam, that they bring it now to the lotus feet of Sri Krishna, and Pandit Chet will charhava your offerings. And remember, in this Madhurashtakam, what does it start with? Adaram Madhuram Vadanam Madhuram Nayanam Madhuram Hasitam Madhuram. What's Hasitam? His laugh. This Vallabhacharya tells us, sings for us the Madhurashtakam based off of this same very discourse. Focus on the laugh of Sri Vishnu. Please bring your offerings up while we sing the Madhurashtakam. Do we have a tabla or a dolak? Gavin or Rajiv, please bless us with your mridanga. Om Om Krim Krishnaya Namaha. Om Krim Krishnaya Namaha. Om Krim Krishnaya Namaha. Sundara Gopalam Purvanamalam Nayana Vishalam Dukhaharam Vrindavana Chandram Anandakandam Paramanandam Dharanidharam Vallabhadana Shamam Purnakaman Prithikaram Bhajanandakumaram Sarvasukhasaram Tattva Vicharam Brahmaparam Adaram Madhuram Valitam Madhuram Nayanam Madhuram Asitam Madhuram Hridayam Madhuram Gamanam Madhuram Madhuradipate Akilam Madhuram Madhuradipate Akilam Madhuram Vajravanarayana Narayana We ask Auntie Sita to bless us with a bhajan for Sri Krishna. I know she has one prepared for us today. Om Krim Krishnaya Namaha. Om Krim Krishnaya Namaha. This is Shri Krishna's Bij mantra. Cream, like cream. Om Krim Krishnaya Namaha. From this beej seed, it's a seed mantra. It's said that when you chant a beej mantra, something grows from it. Om Krim Krishnaya Namaha. all who did not get a chance to partake in Abhishekam to please make your way to the front, perform Abhishekam, and rock the cradle of Sri Krishna. Auntie Sherry has prepared a song, or a sohar, the sohar for Sri Krishna. At the time, in the part of India that we all hail from, in East India, sohars are used to celebrate the birth of children, including the Lord.
Jagate
bless us with a song. I'm sure she's also prepared a song for Sri Krishna Janmashtami. And at the same time, please give a round of applause to our musicians, Gavin, who has come all the way from Turkey to bless us, and Rajiv, who is here to bless us with his dolak as well. And Uncle Ravi for keeping the PA system together. So please make your way. Perfect, you have the mic.
मेरी शाम मेरी नंदलाला मेरी शाम मेरे नंदलाला मेरी शाम मेरे नंदलाला मेरी शाम मेरे नंदलाला सजन सजन सगाए तूने रखवाला मेरी शाम मेरे नंदलाला ओ मेरे शाम मेरे नंदलाला
Let us rise for Arati. And Taman Share will lead us with Arati.
वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं
कृष्णं वन्दे हारे पंचविहारी की श्री कृष्ण मुरारी की आरती पंचविहारी की श्री कृष्ण मुरारी की आरती पंचविहारी की
गगनं सदृशं मेघवर्णं शुभाङ्गं लक्ष्मीकान्तं कमलनयनं योगिभिर्ध्यानगम्यं वन्दे विष्णु भवभयहरणं सर्वलोकैकनाथं त्वमेव माता च पिता त्वमेव बन्धुश्च सखा त्वमेव विद्या द्रविणं त्वमेव सर्वं मम देव देव ॐ पापं पापकर्माहं पाप्यात्मा पापसम्भवा त्राहि मां पुण्डरीकाक्ष सर्वपापहरो हरे ॐ मन्त्रहीनं क्रियाहीनं भक्तिहीनं जनार्दन यत्पूजितं मया देव परिपूर्णं तदस्तु मे ॐ सर्वेषां स्वस्तिर्भवतु सर्वेषां शान्तिर्भवतु सर्वेषां पूर्णं भवतु सर्वेषां मङ्गलं भवतु ॐ सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् ॐ करचरणकृतं वा कायजं कर्मजं वा श्रवणनयनजं वा मानसं वा अपराधं विहितमविहितं वा सर्वमेतत् क्षमस्व जय जय करुणाब्धेश महादेव शम्भो ॐ असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा अमृतं गमय. Let us bow at the lotus feet of Shri Krishna. Om Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwara Gurur Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Let us remain in that position and let us focus our mind on Shri Vishnu. Om Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwara Gurur Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Hari Om Shanti 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 Hari Om. Arise. Om Dyav Shanti Rantarishadvam Shanti Prithvi Shanti Apa Shanti Praise Golo Bhangi Bihari Lal ki jai. Sab Santan ki jai jai jai. Sita. There is food prepared for you in prasad. Please take your asti and your panchamrit before partaking in food and before